So with that being said, I just want to honor our presenter tonight. It's Kamini Desai, who's been with us for 15 years. Right? Yes, that's where we're on the clock. 15 years teaching and running our Yoga Nidra program. And I have taken quite a few sessions, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 1 hour. 1 hour is the equivalent of 3 hours of sleep. Anybody else stand more sleep? So she is the one that's going to be here tonight. And I see a hand real quick. Yep, November 1st, Fall Festival. Yes. The advertisements and the social media will be blasted plenty of times over the next coming months. So stay tuned. That being said, Ms. Kamini, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. So good to be with you all, and just a moment to shout out to you, because there are many things that you could be spending your energy on that you chose to invest in you. And that's already the first step to inner grounding. So just a very brief self-introduction. I grew up as the daughter of a yoga master. He's been here, Yogi Amidst Desai. And over time, even though we learn things, even though we learn wonderful things from our parents, we still have to kind of rediscover it ourselves, don't we? And so when in my early 20s, I decided I was going to become a diplomat and change the world. Was interning in Switzerland at the UN and quickly discovered that peace is very political, and found myself getting disillusioned. And that's when I started picking up the teachings of Yoga Nidra, which I teach. And what really came to me, what I saw, is that if we do not carry peace within, that is the beginning of peace out there in the world. And this is something we all can do. You don't have to be in the UN or playing politics. We carry that vibration, which then creates that change. So this evening, I'm going to be talking about the art of inner stability and a number of different tools, all culminating in an experience of Yoga Nidra. Right? So you'll get to experience Yoga Nidra seated, just to get a little taste of what it is. So keeping that in mind, let's start up here. And here's the question: have you ever felt overwhelmed by energies, emotions, personalities around you? No, not us, of course, right? So you can feel how, even whether we think we're psychic or not, whether we think we feel energies or not, we definitely feel a palpable tension in the room or lightness in the room without even necessarily calling ourselves something. And we're going to understand why. So we are constantly being overstimulated. We're constantly being barraged by, think of it as vibrations or frequencies. You could call it feelings or energies. Just choose the word that resonates most with you. And we're also absorbing influences from media, how people in the media talk to each other, how people talk, people at work, people who we're interacting with. All of these are affecting us. And then as a result, have you noticed how after a while it just feels, you felt good when you went into a party or you went into work, and by the end you're exhausted and you're like, oh my God, it's only 10 o'clock, right? So the environment around us is playing a huge role in our level of physical energy, our mental and emotional balance. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about yogic philosophy. I'm going to introduce a few tools to you and how we could use these, what they are, and how we could start to use them to more consciously ground in everyday life. So we're going to be talking about chitta, or mind stuff. And if you come over here for a moment, those of you who've taken class with me, you're going to recognize something of this. So imagine that behind the mind, there's something we call presence. The presence is not a circle. It is infinite. It is eternal. It has no beginning or end. But I'm going to put it in as a circle. But in front of that presence, so that presence is like a sky of awareness. But in front of that sky of awareness is mind stuff. And you could think of it like clouds moving through the sky. And the more mind stuff that we have, the more this presence gets clouded until after a while there's so much going on in the mind that we cannot detect this silence behind. So this mind stuff, all this stuff moving through the mind, thoughts, feelings, impressions, beliefs, this is called chitta, C-H-I-T-T-A, and it's just translated as mind stuff, which is blocking our access to the silence or the sky behind. So the way that I'm going to define this chitta is a field of mental activity, thoughts, feelings, impressions within that presence itself. And chitta manifests as a frequency or a vibration that we can feel. That's what I was just talking about. Before you even meet somebody, before you even shake their hand, their mind stuff is not just a thing, it's not just stuff, it's a frequency. Each person, based on what they're thinking on a regular basis, what they're feeling on a regular basis, what they're repeating on a regular basis, is not only creating an internal environment, they are creating an inner frequency, a sound, if you will, that is actually emanating out around them, and we can pick it up. Not physically with our physical ears. I'm talking about a feeling that you get, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Before you ever meet somebody, you're like, oh, I like that person, right? That's not just the look on their face, it's the vibrational frequency that they are emanating, which is really the sum total of their mind stuff, right? So this chitta, the sum total of this chitta, this mind stuff over here, is interesting, and it's good for us to understand it. So this mind stuff, we want to learn how to work with it. Of course, we want to quiet it down, but we don't want to get rid of it for the most part, because we all need a mind. We just need one that's a little bit more balanced, a bit more grounded, a bit more stable. Okay? So if we want to understand this chitta, this mind stuff, the first is to understand that it is subject, it is affected by its own internal environment. So what you say to yourself, what you repeatedly think, what you repeatedly do will affect your own mind stuff. But also, it is subject to what's going on. So your own chitta is a frequency, which is then affected by the frequencies or vibrations of the people around you. This is why, like I said, you start your day feeling fabulous. And within 20, 25 minutes of being around a certain type of person, and you know what I mean, you're exhausted, right? Because your chitta, your vibration has been affected by theirs. So the question is, so the idea is that when the chitta is disturbed, there's inner turbulence. When it's calm, that's when you have that stable, grounded, balanced mind stuff. Right? So let's continue on. And this is actually not so different from teachings about mirror neurons. And some of you have heard this before, but it never hurts to be reminded, what are mirror neurons actually? So these were discovered back in the 1990s. And the idea is that when you see somebody smile, when they frown, when they cry, it activates neurons within your brain so that you are not just seeing what they're feeling, you're feeling what they're feeling. This creates empathy. It has its good side so that you can feel and be in connection with what the other person is feeling. However, that also explains why when we're around somebody who's very angry, very stressed, our physiology starts to mirror theirs. So what the yogis call chitta and a frequency and a vibration in science, we would call mirror neurons. That who we surround ourselves with is already changing or influencing the state of our own brain, because we will start to feel what they feel. So there's good news, however, and the good news is that if mirror neurons work, where other people are starting to feel what we feel, we can flip that scenario around. Because the more that we create a state of inner balance, inner steadiness, inner groundedness, we actually create the frequency that other people begin to mirror around us. And there are many people, many of you are students here at SWIHA, you're healers, you work with people, and they probably say to you, I just like being around you. Because you have frequency. And just with them coming into your orbit, they start to kind of come up to your wavelength, and it helps balance their chitta, helps balance their vibration. So we're going to look at now, well, what can I do then to create this internal steadiness in my chitta so that this is so strong within us that it becomes the thing that other people mirror off of rather than us mirroring off of them. So here's the question. What if you could remain centered no matter what's happening around you? Let's just first open that up. Because often we have been in these kinds of situations so much that we no longer believe it's possible. And I'm not saying there aren't challenging people and there aren't challenging situations, but at least to open up the possibility. And that the people and situations around us that are challenging to us, we could also flip that around and see it kind of like going to the gym. Right? When you go to the gym, you're challenged. It's not easy, it's not simple, but the challenge itself makes you stronger. So there is a time and a place, I'm not saying there isn't, to withdraw from people who have that attitude that you don't want. But there may be beginning steps before we choose to avoid completely. Because it could literally end up that we end up interacting with the 25 people that we know, and that's it, because we don't know how to handle the other frequencies around us. So that might be a last resort, and we'll talk about that. But up until then, how can I use my life and the people that you have that are non-negotiable, the people you have to see every day? You're going to have to deal with them. So what are we going to do? Inner steadiness is a skill, not a mystery. All right, so how? This is a quote from my dad, Yogi Desai, and the quote is, I love this one, dig your well before your house is on fire. Okay? And I love this. It's a very good question to ask ourselves. Have I dug my well? In other words, am I waiting until I'm around those negative people, negative situations, those challenges, and then trying to practice? Or have I already done my well, which means I have inner resources, I have a foundation that I have already set, so that when I get exposed to those challenges, I've already got something of a muscle memory. Doesn't mean I got it down perfectly, but at least I know the direction I want to go. It's difficult to develop inner stability in the moment of challenge. Think about it. Right? So when you're with that difficult person and they're telling you everything that you did wrong or everything everybody else is going wrong, it's really hard at that moment to say, okay, let me start finding my inner stability. It's something you want to lay the foundation first, and then it's almost like a laboratory. Your inner practices, whatever they are for you, I can't tell you what those should be, but whatever that is, it develops your strength first. And then you use your life as a way to practice that skill under pressure. So I call this a because practices, which means First, you're going to practice the skill of developing the frequency, the inner stability without any challenges. In a nice air-conditioned room, sitting on a chair, lying on a mat, having somebody, hopefully with a nice voice, guide you, right, to that place of inner stability. So we do that first. We strengthen the muscle. We learn how to go there, but that's not the end. Then we are sent out in life, and that is the despite practice. So now I've set it up. I've found that foundation without any challenges, and then I get put out in life with the person who drives me crazy the most. The person who we want, as soon as we see them, we want to turn the other way. That's my challenge, should I choose to accept it. So here are a couple of things I'm going to be going through. One of the best way, of course, I'm going to be teaching you Yoga Nidra, which really kind of pulls all of these together. But let's talk about some other tools before we get to the final one. And the very first one is to understand that the cause practice, developing your grounding and your foundation, is very much rooted in who you choose to surround yourself with when you can choose. Obviously, you cannot always choose, but when you can, surround yourself with people who are carrying the frequency and vibration that you want to carry. Because automatically, when you're around that kind of person, someone even who you want to emulate, you start vibrating to that frequency. And more it becomes your foundation, the place where you automatically go to through that muscle memory. Interestingly, the chitta, your mind stuff, is very much related to the heart. So when you feel connected, when you feel loved, when you feel safe, when you feel seen, your chitta is very happy, right? Your chitta, just go into your experience. When you're around people who love you, who see you, who allow you to be who you are, do you notice how you automatically feel internally stable? Very, very powerful. So even though, when you go to work, you can't choose who you're working with or who's coming in the door, but when you're not with them, who are you surrounding yourself with? That's a very, very important tool. The next three I'm going to go through in more detail because you might not know as much about them. And the next one is sound. So this sound can be either repeated aloud, like music or singing. It could also be something you repeat silently to yourself, like an intention or a mantra. So we'll be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about some of the tools of yoga, some of the limbs of Patanjali's yoga, written 2,500 years ago. So let's start with sound, and then I'll go through the others. Sound. All right. So we've already said that chitta, the sum total of your mind stuff, creates an innermost core of resonating sound. It literally creates an emanation from you, a frequency from you. Now, it kind of makes sense that if you want to change or stabilize the frequency of your own mind, you would introduce another one, right? So if I'm creating an innermost core of sound and it's unbalanced, we'll introduce sound, certain types of sound, vibrations that are going to help balance this out. So this is why the chitta has a very strong connection with the sense of sound in a number of different ways. The first is just music. And it doesn't even have to be spiritual music. It's the music that makes you happy. The music that you turn up on the radio and you're singing at the top of your lungs. Do you notice how that changes your energy? What if we were to do that a little bit more intentionally? So that when we've been exposed to somebody or a situation where we're like, I know I can use music to change my vibration. I can use music to change my energy. You can listen to it, you can sing it, you can dance to it. Anything is going to start to change this very quickly. It can also be a mantra, or what we call in English an intention. Something that you could say it to yourself, like a code word. So let's say you're exposed to somebody and they just get your goat and you can feel your reaction starting to rise. Maybe the sound that you use is not the sound coming in from the outside, like playing the radio. It's the sound that you repeat from within your own consciousness. Because this chitta is affected internally and externally. So we could, for example, say a very simple phrase to ourselves to help get this chitta back to its stability, like mine is internally steady. Steady. And even though it doesn't sound like much, because I've repeated it enough, I know what that means, and it will help me get back to that place where I'm holding true to myself rather than giving in to that tendency, that desire to react. Also, changing the words you use. So know that how we speak about something, and I know we know this, it just bears repeating. How we speak about something is already shifting my chitta to the positive or to the negative. So if I say, this is going terribly, this isn't going to work out, this is going to be awful, I've already shifted my frequency in that direction. If I say to myself, well, I'm just going to do the best I can with what I have right now, or it's going to be beautiful, just putting that in is already shifting the quality. So how would we apply this in life? Sometimes even before we see that person who drives us nuts, we're already destabilized before we even see their face. We've already started to lose it. And perhaps it's either that code word, internally steady, or it's going to go beautiful. Just even doing that is starting to help create a stability, a through line, a compass for you to hold when you face that environment. So the next one is pratyahara, and you don't need to understand the meaning of these words. Pratyahara means the withdrawal of attention and energy. And sometimes the best thing to do is not to play, right? So we often think the answer is to do something to fight or to run away, to collapse, to give in. But there is a third option, which is to withdraw energy and attention. So the reason I have a tennis racket here is don't give any energy to the energy they are giving you. So they're lobbing you a ball. Do you really think that was a good idea? I wouldn't have done it that way. So they're lobbing a ball. If you give energy to the energy that they just threw to you, you're stuck. They got you. Okay? And now that energy is yours. But if they lob the ball at me and you just stand there and let the ball drop, well, they don't have anybody to play with. Right? There's nowhere for the energy to go. It kind of dies on its own. Now, I will say, they'll probably get mad at you first, right? Because if you don't play, that's maybe what that person is looking for at that time. Well, you're not participating. Say something back. And because you're not, they're upping the volume to try to get you to play. But eventually, if you don't, it's like, oh, that's no fun. It's no fun to play one-sided tennis. They go away. No, I'm not saying the other person is bad. We all do this at different times, but it's helpful to have a few tips in. So let it float by. Don't fight it. Don't feed it. Just stay relaxed. All right. Now I realize that is not easy, but it's a skill. It's like going to the gym. When you put your attention on it, could I just allow it to pass by without having to hit back the ball? And the more you practice it with little things, the better it will get. So quick example, my stepdaughter, has just recently finished her teenage years, right? And there was a time she doesn't have negative energy, but teenagers, they can have a lot of energy. And a lot of energy about everything that's wrong. Right? Everything's wrong. And in the beginning, I would feel myself getting exhausted. Why? Because I was trying to hit back the ball. And I was trying to hit back the ball by solving it for her, by doing something which immediately made it mine. And what I found was, and actually it worked better for her too, that just by listening, I don't make it mine, I don't fight it, I don't feed it, I'm just letting it float by. It doesn't mean I leave the room, but I just let her talk. I just be there with her and let her get it all out. And by the end, she feels better, her chitta is stable, and I don't feel exhausted. And at the moment when you feel, okay, now I'm really losing it, now it's too much weight for me, when possible, it's okay to excuse yourself, change the channel, talk about something else. And what this does is it allows you to develop your ability to stay present, not playing tennis, but keeping your stability. And at the moment when you feel like you're about to lose it, you withdraw. It's just like at the moment where you feel like I can't do one more push-up. I know it's not clear. Bench press, when I can't do that one more, you withdraw for a moment. But because you are pushing yourself, I don't want to say pushing, you're taking yourself to your capacity, over time you're getting stronger. So that is where there might be moments where you're like, okay, now I need to withdraw. Now I have to go to the bathroom. Or would you excuse me a moment? I have to make a phone call, or I better get back to my emails. Whatever that is, to say, okay, now I've hit my limit. I need to withdraw. Another tool is changing the channel. And this is the tool I call Dharna. Dharna is, again, one of the 8 limbs of yoga. Dharna means concentration. And Dharna is known in the ancient texts to be one of the most powerful ways to stabilize the chitta, to stabilize your mind. So in the Yoga Nidra, I'm going to be guiding you in. We're going to be doing a counted breath. We're going to be inhaling to a count of 4, exhaling to a count of 4. The idea is that the more you're placing your attention anywhere that you choose on something that's uplifting for you, the more it's automatically going to be pushing out everything else. So the more I'm inhaling to 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaling 2, 3, 4, the more I focus on that, it's automatically pushing out other vibrations, other reactions, the thinking that wants, all of that other stuff automatically gets pushed out. And it almost acts like a buffer. It's a buffer between you and other people. I'm sure we've all heard count to 10. Well, there's a yogic foundation in that, especially if you do it slowly and you really focus on each number. What are you doing? You're withdrawing your attention and energy from that thing. You're not playing tennis by placing it on something else. And this creates a kind of internal stability that even though you're around all of this, the more you're focusing on your point of concentration, it will automatically create a buffer between you and what's going on. And then finally, dhyana. And this is the last tool we will be experimenting with in this Yoga Nidra. And that is the tool of holding the space of awareness. This is the most esoteric, but Yoga Nidra is one of the best ways to experience what that is. So the idea is that other people's reactions, their emotions, even if it appears to be about you, is kind of like a storm moving through that in truth really doesn't have to do with you. It looks like it does, but they're having a reaction based on what they see and all the things that are going on for them. And it's like a hurricane moving through. Hurricane, you can just put in the name of whoever that person is for you. Right? And if you react and get defensive, you'll engage the storm. And now I'm taking ownership of what I don't own. Their feelings, their state of being, I have to do something about it. So the last way to work with this is to develop this container itself, this presence itself. And the more that you develop your capacity to rest as the presence, the sky that you are, the less you're going to be affected by the storms moving through. You'll just be like, okay, that's what's going on for them, and that's totally fine. And I'm back here, and I'm just going to let them, I don't have to do anything. The sky doesn't have to do anything about clouds moving through. So it's, again, developing the muscle memory. And this is what we're going to do with the other neck. All right, so in this yoga nidra, the more you practice, whatever that practice is for you, the stronger your chitta frequency becomes, and the more, as I said before, you become the core mirror neuron that other people start to gravitate towards. They're like, oh, it's just nice to be with you. You feel calm. Okay. So in this practice of yoga nidra, we are going to be practicing intention, which is sound spoken internally. I'm going to be speaking it to you. I am at peace in the midst of chaos. I remain changeless in the midst of change. We're going to be practicing pratyahara, where your outward attention is moving inside of yourself. You're pulling energy from the outside world to your inside world. And this is excellent for rejuvenating, balancing your chitta, so that when you come out, you'll just feel a little more like, refreshed, like your chitta got a shower. We're going to practice dharana with counted breath and also a body scan. And dhyana, that's the holding the space of awareness. Hopefully that will result as the result of everything else. Right? So just go ahead and get yourself comfortable. And because we know that vibration or sound is so powerful for the chitta, we're going to start with a variation of what's called bumblebee breath. So I'm not going to teach you the whole technique. We're just going to hum, right? Humming, again, is a frequency, which changes the frequency of breath. So that's one technique, and I'll just guide you through. So go ahead and close your eyes. Let's first begin by taking a full breath in and letting it out with a sigh. Another full breath in and let it out with a sigh. We'll just release any excess tension in the body to begin. Just doing a little bit of tension and relaxation. So just where you are, I want you to tighten to the best of your ability, your feet, your legs, your face, your shoulders, making this, scrunching up your face, hold, hold, hold. And let go. And on your next exhalation, let go, even. Breathing normally, feeling the effect. And we'll do this again, tightening your whole body, arms, hands, shoulders, feet, legs, face, buttocks, tighten, tighten, hold, scrunch up the face, hold. And let go. And on your next exhalation, letting go, even. Relax. And feel the released energy beginning to extend to all the muscles, nerves, and cells of your entire body. With your eyes closed, quiet your mind. Let go of all thoughts, worries, and tension. Breathe in fully and exhale with a deep sigh. And again, breathe in fully and exhale, let go even more. And feel a deep sense of peace and contentment begin to wash over you. Now we're going to hum, just humming as loud as you can, like humming the sound of Om with your mouth closed. Each time you run out of breath, begin again. We'll do this about 3 times. Take a breath in. Keep going. Allowing the sound to dissolve into silence. Feeling the effect, calming the body, quieting the mind. Feel yourself descending down into the stillness beneath the mind. All excess tension and holding carried out with each exhaling breath. Feel your outward attention moving inward. Now shift from thinking and doing to feeling and being. Do absolutely nothing from now on. Simply relax. Drop into the deepest state of tranquility, stillness, and peace. Now become aware of the rising and falling of the breath. Notice if the breath is fast or slow, deep or shallow. Whatever is happening, simply relax and witness the breath. Now gently deepen your inhalations and exhalations. Stay connected to your breath as you breathe in and out. As you're breathing in, know that you're breathing in. As you're breathing out, know that you are breathing out. This time we'll inhale and exhale to a count of 4, like this. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3. Continue on your own, counting silently in your own rhythm. Soft and easy. Releasing any struggle to make anything happen. If any thoughts come into your mind, just bring your attention back to the count. Belly rising as you inhale. Belly falling as you exhale. Feel yourself becoming more relaxed and peaceful with each breath, each count. Breath becoming longer, slower, and deeper. Tranquility, stillness, and peace washing over you with each outgoing breath. Now breathe normally. Simply observing the breath, becoming progressively quieter and more still. So it's almost impossible to detect. Settle into the silent space of being. Follow my guidance as we move our awareness through different parts of the body. Let your attention rest on each body part as I name it, without comment or judgment. All 10 toes, both ankles, both knees, pelvis, abdomen, chest, arms, and hands, throat, face, back of the head, shoulder blades, spine, buttock, calf, heels, soles of the feet. Sense the whole body from the top of the head, the tips of the toes. Now allow yourself to receive the following intention as I repeat it. Let your whole body listen to what I say. I'm at peace in the midst of chaos. I remain changeless in the midst of change. I am at peace in the midst of chaos. I remain changeless in the midst of change. Know that releases, shifts, and changes that need to take place are happening outside of your doing. There's no need for you to do anything about it. Recognize at this moment that your whole being has made a major paradigm shift. Establish yourself in trust and faith that remains free from any need to be in control. Knowing that you are soul and witness life's experiences and let them pass by. Trusting that right response and right actions will move through. With that knowing, keep your heart open to all. Slowly begin to deepen your inhalations and exhalations. Allowing your inhalations to be a bit more full. Your exhalations a bit more complete. And simply noticing the quality of mind, quality of chitta, the innermost core of vibrating sound. Oh, and with one sound of Om, you're welcome to join in. Take a breath in. And when you're ready, just take a breath in Let it out. If you like, you can bring your hands to your face. Just take a moment to come back. For those of us who tell ourselves we can't meditate, that was about 20 minutes. And maybe you could feel, even in the room there, you could feel the room, the quality of the frequency of the room started to drop. That's what we're doing. So it's such a pleasure to be with you all. I will say, normally yoga nidra is done lying down, so we remove all distractions. So definitely come to Sweetheart, check out yoga nidra. And I'll also mention that Yogi Amar Desai and myself are going to be leading a program in India early next year from February 1st to the 8th. And you can always add on wherever you want to go in India after that. So just keep that in mind. Thank you all. Thank you, Sweetheart, for having me. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy.
Just letting you all know where everything is. If you walk out these doors here, you're going to have